My story begins like many others, filled with challenges, uncertainty, and moments that tested my spirit. I was born into a world where struggle was the norm, not the exception. From my earliest memories, I can recall the weight of worry in the air, the sense that every day was a battle just to get by. Growing up in a low-income household, life was a constant struggle. Our home was small and modest, and every corner seemed to echo with the quiet anxieties of my family. There were nights when the cupboards were nearly bare, and days when my parents whispered about bills they couldn't pay. The uncertainty of our situation was a shadow that followed us everywhere. We faced financial hardship, and our home was often filled with tension. My parents did their best, but the stress of making ends meet was overwhelming. Arguments about money became a regular part of our lives, and I could see the toll it took on everyone. The atmosphere was heavy, and laughter was a rare visitor. I remember watching my parents count every penny, stretching every dollar as far as it would go. Sometimes I could sense their fear, even when they tried to hide it from us kids. It was in those moments that I realized how fragile our security really was. As the eldest of three, I felt a deep sense of responsibility to help my family. I became a second set of hands for my parents, looking after my younger siblings and trying to ease their burdens in any way I could. I learned early on that family meant sacrifice, and that love was often shown through small acts of care and support. By the age of 11, I was already working, taking on odd jobs to contribute. I delivered newspapers before sunrise, mowed lawns after school, and did whatever I could to bring in a few extra dollars. Each job, no matter how small, felt like a lifeline for my family. I grew up fast, learning the value of hard work and the dignity that comes from doing your part. School seemed less important than putting food on the table. While other kids worried about homework and grades, I was preoccupied with whether we'd have enough to eat that week. My mind often wandered during class, thinking about how I could help more at home. Education felt like a distant luxury, something for people who didn't have to worry about survival. The environment was chaotic, and I quickly learned to fend for myself. The neighborhood I grew up in was tough, and I had to develop a thick skin just to get by. I learned to navigate difficult situations, to stand up for myself, and to protect those I cared about. Every day brought new challenges, but each one taught me something valuable about resilience and grit. Despite the difficulties, a fire ignited within me. I began to realize that my circumstances did not have to define my future. There was a part of me that refused to give in to despair, that believed I could create something better for myself and my family. That spark of hope became my guiding light. I refused to accept this as my fate. I made a promise to myself that I would not let my environment dictate who I would become. Every setback became fuel for my ambition, every obstacle a lesson in perseverance. I started to dream of a life beyond the limitations I saw around me. I knew there had to be more to life than the limitations I saw around me. I would often look out at the world beyond my neighborhood and imagine what was possible. I held on to the belief that with enough determination and effort, I could break free from the cycle of poverty and create a future filled with purpose and meaning. This burning desire for something better, for a life of meaning and purpose, fueled my determination to rise above my circumstances. I started setting goals, even if they seemed impossible at the time. I wrote down my dreams, visualized my success, and reminded myself every day that I was capable of more. I sought out inspiration wherever I could find it: books, mentors, even the stories of people who had overcome adversity. Each new idea, each encouraging word, became another brick in the foundation of my future. I realized that the power to change my life was already within me, waiting to be unleashed. It was the beginning of a journey that would lead me to discover the power that lies within each of us. No matter where we start, no matter how difficult our circumstances, we all have the ability to rise above and create a life of purpose. My story is proof that even in the darkest moments, hope and determination can light the way forward. At 17, I was adrift, feeling like I was floating through life without direction or purpose. Each day seemed to blend into the next, and I often wondered if things would ever change for me. I felt invisible, as if the world was moving on without me, and I was just a bystander in my own story. I was a high school dropout, burdened by the weight of my own disappointment and the expectations I had failed to meet. My grades had slipped, my motivation had vanished, and I saw little hope for the future. The sense of failure was overwhelming, and I felt trapped in a cycle I couldn't break. Working as a janitor, my life felt like a dead end. Each night, as I swept the empty hallways and mopped the floors, I wondered if this was all there was for me. The silence of those late hours echoed my own doubts and fears. I watched others move forward while I remained stuck, unsure of how to change my circumstances. One evening, as I sat at the kitchen table, my mother noticed the heaviness in my eyes. She didn't judge or criticize. Instead, she offered a simple suggestion that would change everything. She told me about a seminar happening in town, led by a man named Jim Rohn. She said it might help me see things differently. She encouraged me to attend, explaining that Jim Rohn was a renowned personal development speaker who had inspired thousands. I was skeptical, unsure if a few hours listening to someone talk could really make a difference. But deep down, I was desperate for change, for any sign that my life could be more than what it was. With nothing to lose, I decided to go. I remember walking into the seminar hall, feeling out of place and nervous. The room was filled with people who seemed so much more confident and put together than I was. I hesitated before taking a seat, unsure if I belonged there. That night, Jim Rohn took the stage and shared a message that would forever alter the course of my life. He spoke with passion and conviction, telling us that our lives are not determined by our circumstances, but by the choices we make every single day. He challenged us to take responsibility for our own destinies, to stop blaming others or our past for where we were. His words struck a chord deep within me. For the first time, I realized that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't powerless. Maybe I could choose a different path, no matter where I was starting from. I felt something shift inside me, a sense of hope I hadn't felt in years. For the first time, I saw a glimmer of hope, a possibility for a different future. It was as if a light had been switched on in a room I thought would always be dark. I began to imagine what my life could look like if I started making better choices, if I believed in my own potential. I realized I had the power to change my life, to shape my own destiny. The idea was both terrifying and exhilarating. I stood in front of the mirror that night, looking at myself with new eyes. I wasn't just a dropout or a janitor. I was someone with the ability to grow, to learn, and to become more than I had ever imagined. That seminar was a turning point. It marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where I would no longer let my past define me. The applause that filled the room felt like it was for me, encouraging me to take the first step toward a better future. It ignited a spark within me, a hunger for knowledge and personal growth that I had never known before. I started to believe that I could change, that I could build a life I was proud of. I began to seek out wisdom wherever I could find it, writing down quotes and lessons that inspired me. I devoured books on self-improvement, psychology, and human potential, immersing myself in a world of possibility. Each page I turned was a step away from my old life and a step toward the person I wanted to become. The journey wasn't easy, but for the first time I knew I was moving forward, discovering the power within myself to create a brighter future. Armed with newfound knowledge and a burning desire to help others, I embarked on my own journey of transformation. I began applying the principles I had learned, transforming my own life step by step. I focused on my mindset, replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones. I developed habits of success, embracing discipline, focus, and unwavering commitment. As I experienced my own breakthroughs, I felt a calling to share this knowledge with others. I began coaching people in my community, guiding them to overcome their own challenges and unlock their potential. Word spread quickly about the transformations people were experiencing. My coaching business flourished, fueled by passion, empathy, and an unwavering belief in the human spirit's ability to overcome any obstacle. As my reach expanded, I knew I could impact even more lives. I began hosting seminars, creating immersive experiences designed to empower individuals and ignite their inner fire. These events were more than just lectures. They were high-energy, transformative experiences that combined powerful insights with practical tools for change. People from all walks of life flocked to these seminars, hungry for change and inspired by the possibility of a better future. My work resonated with millions worldwide, breaking down geographical barriers and cultural differences. The message was universal. We all have the power within us to create extraordinary lives. From seminars to books to audio programs, I explored every avenue to share this message and empower individuals to take control of their destinies. The path to success is rarely linear. It twists and turns, presenting unexpected obstacles and detours that can leave even the most determined individuals questioning their direction. Every journey, no matter how carefully planned, is filled with moments of uncertainty and challenge. The truth is, setbacks are not the exception. They are the rule. They are woven into the very fabric of any meaningful pursuit, shaping us in ways that smooth sailing never could. Throughout my journey, I've encountered my share of setbacks and failures. There were days when the weight of disappointment felt almost unbearable, when the sting of defeat lingered long after the moment had passed. Whether it was a business deal that fell through at the last minute, a promising opportunity that slipped away, or a personal goal that seemed just out of reach, each setback left its mark. But with every failure, I discovered a new layer of strength within myself, a quiet resilience that urged me to keep moving forward even when the odds seemed stacked against me. There were times when businesses faltered, partnerships dissolved, and personal challenges tested my resolve. I remember sitting in tense meetings, feeling the weight of uncertainty in the room, and watching as once strong alliances unraveled before my eyes. In those moments, it was easy to feel isolated, to question my decisions and wonder if I was truly on the right path. But adversity has a way of revealing our true character, and it was in these difficult times that I learned the most about myself and what I was capable of enduring. One of the most significant challenges I faced was a legal battle that threatened to derail everything I had built. The process was long and exhausting, filled with moments of doubt and fear. Every day brought new uncertainties, and the stakes felt impossibly high. I found myself questioning not just my business decisions, but my own resilience and ability to persevere. The legal system can be intimidating, and the pressure to give in or walk away was immense. But I knew that giving up was not an option. It was a grueling experience, filled with uncertainty and doubt. There were sleepless nights spent worrying about the future, and days when the stress felt overwhelming. I questioned my choices, replayed every decision in my mind, and wondered if I would ever see the light at the end of the tunnel. But even in the darkest moments, I held on to a glimmer of hope, a belief that if I could just keep going, I would eventually find my way through. Yet, even in the face of adversity, I refused to give up. I reminded myself that resilience is not about never falling. It's about always getting back up. Each time I was knocked down, I stood up a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little more determined. I drew inspiration from others who had faced their own battles and emerged victorious, and I learned to see every challenge as an opportunity to grow. I learned to embrace failure as a stepping stone, an opportunity for growth and learning. Instead of seeing setbacks as the end of the road, I began to view them as valuable lessons, each one teaching me something new about myself, my business, and the world around me. I started keeping a journal of lessons learned, reflecting on what went wrong and how I could improve. This practice not only helped me process my experiences, but also gave me the clarity and confidence to move forward with renewed purpose. I emerged from these experiences stronger, wiser, and more committed than ever to my mission. Each challenge I overcame became a building block, adding to the foundation of my resilience. I learned to celebrate not just the victories, but the journey itself. The small wins, the hard-fought battles, and the moments of growth that came from pushing through adversity. With every new beginning, I carried forward the lessons of the past, determined to create a future defined not by setbacks, but by the strength to overcome them. These challenges taught me the importance of resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity and emerge stronger than before. I realized that resilience is not just an individual trait, but something that can be nurtured and strengthened over time. It is built through experience, through facing difficulties head-on, and through the support of those around us. Whether it was a friend offering encouragement, a mentor sharing wisdom, or a team rallying together in tough times, I learned that resilience thrives in community. They reinforced the power of perspective, of choosing to focus on solutions rather than dwelling on problems. By shifting my mindset from fear to possibility, I discovered new ways to overcome obstacles and achieve my goals. Resilience, I learned, is not just about surviving the storm. It's about learning to dance in the rain, to find hope in the midst of uncertainty, and to keep moving forward, no matter what challenges lie ahead.